In the beginning, there was 3 CMC enchantments. Just as High School Musical 3 senior year was releasing, Goblin Assault landed on our laps from Shards of Alara. It's a 3-mana enchantment that makes goblins. It makes a 1/1 goblin every single turn, and they must attack each turn if able. And thus, an archetype of cards was born. The Rabble. Except it didn't have the name Rabble at that time. Rabble, Rabble, Rabble would come a few years later. A buy a box promo, a main card set for 2015, Goblin Rabble Master took Standard by storm, being underassessed during preview season and absolutely fucking dominating through its lifetime in Standard. Not only in the red aggro decks like you'd think, but also like Dark Jeskai, Wet Jund. All sorts of decks were playing mid-rangey Rabble Master stuff, namely because it allowed you to play Stoke the Flames. You make the goblins, instead of going to combat and slinging them into like creatures that just kill them, you tap and you stoke someone. And Rabble Masters created a long lineage of cards that make goblins. Now look, not every card that makes a goblin is a Rabble Master, but sometimes a Rabble Master is a card that makes goblins. Case in point, and the reason I decided to talk about this today on my Discord and have this cursed image made by Avery, shout out Avery, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Why the fuck is a Vika on it? That's not a Rabble Master. Sometimes Avery's helpful, sometimes they're a shit. It's really just a flip of the coin. Like the chaotic energies of a Rabble Master, some might say. Is Avery a Rabble Master? Howlsquad Heavy is a 3-mana 2/3 from the new Aether Drift set. It appears to be a goblin driving a bus, but the roof has been ripped off and he's holding a wrench. More importantly, he says start your engines, which is a turn of phrase that no one wants to say out loud because it is cringe. You are right to think so, it's okay to feel that way. It's kind of board game-esque, like we're suddenly a card driving board game, I guess. Anyway, other goblins you control have haste. It boosts your other goblins. That's the thing that Rabble Masters sometimes do. At the beginning of combat on your turn, here's the Rabble Master text. Create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. That token attacks this combat if able. That's right, it does the old classic thing of making that creature attack. But it's only that one goblin in this combat. Moving forward, your goblins will have to attack each turn if able. It's power creep gone mad! Gone are the days of Goblin Assault. But let's be honest, when was the last time you saw a fucking Goblin Assault anywhere? But on top of that, max speed. Once you've hit your opponent 3 times after starting your engines, you're at engine speed 4, whatever the fuck it's called. Max speed, as it's called in Europe actually. And then you tap to make red mana equal to each of the goblins that you control. It is like Skirk Prospector, yes, but instead of sacking stuff, you instead tap this to make that mana. And more importantly, unlike old classic Rabble Master, your goblins have to slam into your opponent's blockers. Let's have a look at more Rabble Masters to understand the context. Is this the best Rabble Master ever printed? Well, we're going to find out in this fucking video, aren't we? If you want to pre-order some Aether Drift stuff, you can pre-order it directly from CoolStuffInc.com. Use the code KENOBI at checkout, and that will help the channel and give you 5% off your order, and it supports the show, which is what helping the channel means. And if you want me to compare you to a Rabble Master or just call you a cunt, you can help me on Patreon. Link in the description below. Support with just $2 a month. Get involved in my Discord server where we talk about maths and Rabble Masters and cum. Lots and lots of cum. Some Rabble Masters are more Rabble Masters than most. Legion Warboss is this 3-mana 2/2 from, what was the fuck was it? Guilds of Ravnica? God, that was a long time ago. My goodness, it was the last decade. It was like 2017, 2018, fucking hell. It has Mentor. Beginning of your combat on your turn, it creates a 1/1 red goblin. Going into combat, making the goblins quite important for a Rabble Master. That token gains haste until end of turn, attacks combat if able, only that token. And then obviously the Warboss goes in as well. You mentor and you grow that 1/1 into a 2/2. Well done, little goblin. You've qualified to being a bear. From Twink to Bear, the goblin story. If a bear is a 2/2 and a twink is a 1/1, is an otter a 1/1 with prowess? Legion Warboss is quite strong. A magic card that saw some play even in Legacy, where they played this plus Rabble Master in amongst your lock pieces in Mono Red 8 Rabble, or Prison, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. From a similar era, but actually it's a little bit earlier, it's Pien Malar, a 3-mana 2/2 that is not a Rabble Master. This is included as an example of not a Rabble Master. It doesn't make a goblin, that's not necessary. There's one on this list that doesn't make a goblin, but you know what it also doesn't do? It doesn't do it each turn. That's an absolutely vital fucking piece of the Rabble Master puzzle. When it enters, you create a 1/1 color Stopter, yada yada yada. ETBs are for nerds. Where's my fucking combat trigger? Squee Dubious Monarch is a 3-mana 2/2 with haste from Dominare United, the set that sounds like a football team. Whenever it attacks, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking as well. Oh boy, we're in Hero of Blade hold mechanics now, bitch! And you may cast Squee Dubious Monarch from the graveyard by paying 4 and exiling 4 other cards in your graveyard rather than paying its mana cost. It has escape. because Squee is the eternal. He can't die. He always comes back. But in this case, he's a king and he's bringing a little goblin twink with him. This is a Rabble Master. Back in War of the Spark, which was also before 2020, so it makes me feel very old, Krenko Tin Street Kingpin showed up, a 3-mana 1/2, earlier than Squee. This is Krenko number 3, Krenko number 2. I've lost track of Krenkos, and I'm not going to look. Whenever it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it, then create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to Krenko's power. Now, importantly, it's not making them attack. It doesn't force them to attack, nor does it put them into combat, nor does it give them haste. And it's also making multiple, which makes it almost not a Rabble Master. But look, Krenko is a 3-mana creature that makes a goblin every single fucking turn when it goes to combat, right? But it also has to go to combat. Oh, this is a Rabble Master Light. It's not quite a full-on Rabble Master, because it doesn't make the token every time. It has to go to combat. The tokens themselves are attacking, and it doesn't push your other ones to attack either. But it is a 3-mana goblin that makes goblins, and thus, it's pretty much a Rabble Master. This is 0.9 on the, if Helium Squirter is a 0 on the Rabble Master scale, and Rabble Masters are a 10, Krenko is about a 0.8. Maybe 0.9. Hanweir Garrison, right? 3-mana 2/3 human soldier. Whenever this creature attacks, create 2 1/1 red human creature tokens that are tapped on attacking. This was from Shadows of Innistrad. Eldritch Moon. I had to look. I didn't know off the top of my head. Love this fucking card. Played this in Constructed Standard, and I played it in Commander. It actually had an honorary slot in my Gods and Goblins deck, where the Commander was Perforos and everything else was a Goblin or Made Goblins. This got a slot alongside, I think, Mere Battlesphere being the other one. This, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in betwixt, is a Rabble Master. It's a 3-mana red creature that goes to combat and makes a creature. Yes, it doesn't make a goblin, but it's kind of more of a Rabble Master than Krenko is, because it ticks a lot more of the boxes whilst not making a goblin. Again, on the scale of Helium Squirter to Rabble Master, it's a 0.9. The most radical Rabble Master on this list is Chandra, Acolyte of Flame, a 3-mana Planeswalker, comes in with 4 loyalty. It's got a 0 that does a fucking thing that no one gives a shit about. It's got a -2 that no one gives a shit about, but more importantly, you 0 it, you create 2 1/1 red elemental creature tokens, they gain haste, sacrifice them at the end of the next end step. That's at the beginning of the next end step. It's actually the beginning of the next end step. I overspoke and misspoke because I'm very excited about Rabble Masters. Now, tell me in the comment section below, do you think this is too radical to be a Rabble Master? I do not think so. 3-mana, aggressive, makes bodies, it puts them in harm's way by sacking them in a sense. In reality, the thing that makes me think it's not quite a Rabble is that all the other candidates for Rabble Mastery, including Rabble himself and other versions of him, others of his ilk, they all make goblins that if they don't get blocked, they stick around. The board presence grows with them. Meanwhile, Chandra is temporary. She only has 2 twinks stay over for the evening. They're not allowed to stay over for the night. I'm going to stop with the twink thing now. I'm bored of it. 1/1 red elemental. What's this? This isn't a twink. It's a slut. Either way, it's not growing the board presence, it's not making goblins, but it is a 3-mana aggressive card that makes bodies every single fucking turn, and thus, it's about a 0.7 on the Rabble Master scale. Goblin Spy Master is a 3-mana 2/1 from one of the Commander sets. I don't fucking know. First Strike, which is weird. These Rabbles don't normally have that shit. What's going on there? At the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player creates a 1/1 red goblin creature token with creatures you control attack each turn if able. It is a Goblin Rabble Master, but for your opponents. It is rabbling everyone else. It's right there in the name. It says fucking Spy Master instead of Rabble Master, and it makes the creatures and all the creatures they control attack each turn if able, which is a very Rabble Master kind of thing. It doesn't make them for you, but it pretty much does the Rabble Master thing in every other possible way. Yeah, Rabble Master. Now, this is the other contender for most radical Rabble Master on the list, because, well, okay, it's a 3-mana enchantment, which is just like good old Goblin Assault, the original Rabble Master. But it's 3 mana, it's red, black, and white. So whenever a non-token creature you control attacks, put a 1/1 red goblin creature token onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and you can sack it to pump the back end of your team. In essence, as long as you're attacking, you're making a creature. Again, it doesn't do it without another creature in play, which is what Rabble Masters usually do. This is probably a 0.7 on the Rabble Master scale, but I think it deserves a mention, being at 3 mana and making goblins rather consistently if you're going to combat. We have Den of the Bugbear, a land that says 4 mana into end of turn, it becomes a 3/2 goblin creature with whenever this creature attacks, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. It's still a land. This is a land that is obviously making homage to the archetypal creature that makes a 1/1 upon attacks. However, it does cost, unlike everything else in our list so far, and everything else that I've selected out for this conversation, 4 entire mana. If you bear in mind that then the Bugbear itself has to tap to attack, it costs 5 mana to rabble with this Rabble Master wannabe. Now, the reason I don't really like that as a Rabble Master is that, well, if we include 4 and 5 mana things, now it's fucking Hero Blade holds a Rabble Master. And that can't be true, because not a single other Rabble Master on this list either A, has tits, or B, rides a horse. And now I'm getting mixed signals. Can Rabble Masters have boobs and ride horses? I guess Chandra has boobs. I'm not saying Rabble Masters can't have boobs. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there has to be some sort of fucking rules here, and Down the Bugbear's breaking them. On the Helium Square to the 2 Rabble Master scale, I'm going to give Down the Bugbear a 4. I just realized I've been doing 0 points up till now. I meant on a scale of 0 to 1. I've not been very consistent in this video, have I? And now, you beautiful fucks, we come to the strongest of the Rabble Masters on this list, which I've just realized also might have tits because I think it's a girl. General Crete the Boltbringer, a little anime waifu with a sword that would make Cloud from Final Fantasy piss his pants with blushing. Do you piss your pants when you blush? I do, but that's because I'm old and incontinent. A 3-mana 2/2, and whenever one or more goblins you control attack, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped on attacking, so it triggers itself and other goblins can trigger it, thus pretty much getting us where we need to be with the original Rabble Master trigger. But instead of growing its front end like old school Rabble Master does, which none of the ones pretending to be Rabble Master do, by the way, more on that in a second, but instead of that, it's got a fucking impact tremor strapped to it. And if there's one thing I like in life, it's piss. And if there's another thing I like in life, it's impact tremors. There's nothing more refreshing on a hot summer's day than a cool glass of piss or an impact tremors. Someone got really upset that I talked about piss a load in a video last week when I talked about the piss coloured frames. They thought that it was really weird. When they commented about the size of Chandra's boobs, yeah, I set up for this, right? They commented about the flatness of her boobs. I think that's really fucking weird that you care about her breast looking smaller in some art from one of the sets. They said I was weird, not them for the breast reduction joke. I was weird for talking about piss. Just thought I'd share that with you, really. What a weird interaction to have online. General Crete is impact tremors over Must, and I fucking love it. But to go back to the OG, and it's not even the OG, right? Goblin Assault started all this, but let's ignore that because Rabble Master's a cooler name. OG Rabble Master has 2 things going for it, with the rest of these fucking losers don't. First of all, it's got the coolest name. Goblin Rabble Master, and the ability for you to say the words rabble, rabble, rabble when you either cast it or attack with it is valuable. In a world where excitement and happiness become ever less present, where moments of joy are fleeting, I just want to say rabble, rabble, rabble as I hit my opponent for 10. But on top of all of that, it hits your opponent for 10. Whenever Goblin Rabble Master attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking goblin. It makes attacking goblins, it makes your other attacking goblins better. They have to attack each turn unfavorable, I guess, is a downside. And it grows the front end of it, making it a really unfavorable block. And that's the thing that the rest of these fucking losers will never have. No cool name, and no humongous fucking front end that is just slapping around like a cock flowing in the wind. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. I have a Patreon that you can come to where we can talk about cocks flapping in the wind on it, or you can buy cards mentioned in this list for your Rabble Master themed commander deck from coolstuffinc.com. Link in the description below. In the meantime, be good to one another, drink your piss, and shut the fuck up about Chandra's tits.